What is up, guys? Welcome into yet another edition of Instant Reaction. An instant reaction to a game, breaking news, anything big going on in the sports realm, mostly basketball and football. It's a spin-off of the Ben Garcia show. We call it Instant Reaction. Today, we're reacting to the Pittsburgh Steelers beating up, or I guess I should say getting beaten up on Thursday Night Football last night, losing to the Cleveland Browns. Now, I've been waiting to make this video for a little bit now, because a couple of weeks ago, I put out I was being serious in it, but it was mostly like a tongue-in-cheek, kind of poking at the Steelers fan base, because that's what I do sometimes. I like to poke. I like to prod. And this is when that they switched out Russell Wilson. I'm sorry, they switched out Justin Fields for Russell Wilson, and I was wrong in this instance where I was just like, are they getting too close to being a non-500 team, that they wanted to scale that back and put Russell Wilson in the fold? And to Mike Tomlin's credit, and this was never, the argument for this was never Justin Fields is an awesome quarterback. This is the problem with putting out 1-minute clips of a 12-minute video, a 12-minute reaction, is because even in that 1-minute clip, the people that watch that and run to the comment section to tell me how wrong I was only watch 30 seconds of that 1-minute clip. And that means they watch 30 seconds of my 12-minute whole rant on the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. But in all reality, what we saw was Russell Wilson showing that he is the better quarterback. And that was never the argument. My argument was never Justin Fields is a better quarterback. My argument was always and plainly, yeah, I get it. Russell Wilson's better, but does he add more juice to this team? And even at the time, you could have argued with me that Justin Fields was a better quarterback. Now, that doesn't mean Justin Fields is a good quarterback. I'm going off of years past where Russell Wilson just didn't look like himself. And my argument was really never just, even though I was poking at Steelers fans that, oh, they're going to be 8-8, they're going to be 9-8. My argument was simply just this offense needs some juice, and Justin Fields provides that. It's not me saying Justin Fields is awesome, but he is an athlete. He does have the ability to make guys miss, a threat in the red zone, an okay deep ball, but he's not very accurate. So that was never my argument with Justin Fields is going to take this team to new heights. I watched plenty of Steelers games. I know exactly what they looked like with Justin Fields. But they were a little bit more explosive, or at least I would have thought. And with Russell Wilson, I just didn't think it would be the case. But let me double and triple down on my Pittsburgh Steelers predictions. Clearly, they're a better regular season team than even I was willing to give them credit for. But this team's not winning a playoff game. I couldn't care less if they got the first seed. Unless they match up with the Ravens in the playoffs, I wouldn't feel good against them going up against any team in the playoffs. And it looks like they've still got a couple of losses on their schedule. They've got the Bengals twice. They'll probably lose one of those. They've got the Eagles. They'll probably lose that. They've got the Baltimore Ravens. They'll probably lose that one potentially, even though the Ravens don't play super well against the Steelers. And they've got the Chiefs. So they've got a few more losses on their schedule. So they're not going to be the 1 seed, and they're not going to be the 2 seed. But even if they were the 3 seed, unless they somehow match up with the Baltimore Ravens, which I don't think what will happen, I don't like the Steelers in any playoff setting. Outside of George Pickens, who loves to fight everyone whenever the ball doesn't completely get right to him, I don't know where their weapons are on this team. I don't believe in Calvin Austin that much. Van Jefferson was better 3 years ago, who now has a quad injury. Pat Freiermuth is a solid tight end, but the running back position is nothing to write home about. The Steelers' offensive line is okay, and Russell Wilson has a nice deep ball. But for the most part, they've been going up against teams like the Giants, the Jets, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Colts. These are all not great teams. They got Kirk Cousins, the very first game of the season, where he's coming off the Achilles injury. Bo Nix, second start of the year. But this team is incapable of scoring points in bunches consistently. And what are you going to have to do in the playoffs? You're not going to be able to hold teams to 10 points every week on your way to a Super Bowl. This is not 2008. Winning or defense no longer wins championships. It's offense. And the Steelers still struggle with offense. And they've rejected to embrace that. They're a mostly defensive culture team that is mostly tone deaf to offense. And lately, they haven't drafted offense particularly well. Najee Harris isn't great. I don't know what they were thinking throwing Kenny Pickett out there. And to all the Steelers fans that are going to pull a George Pickens last night and blame the elements, you do know that the Cleveland Browns were also playing in those elements last night. You do understand that there was a large portion of that game where the elements did not play a factor, and you were a non-factor offensively. And you are a really bad fumble away in enemy territory from not scoring anything. It's a really good throw by Russell Wilson in the snow to be able to win that game. To be able to put them up in that game. But in the first half, they scored 3 points, where the elements mostly didn't play a factor. In the third quarter, you scored 3 points, where the elements were insane. You arguably played your best football when the elements were the worst, and you scored 13 points. So to every Steeler fan that's blaming the snow or blaming the rock-hard football that happens when it's freezing temperatures outside, 2 things. You were mostly a BB gun offense prior to the elements playing a factor, and the Cleveland Browns also played in the same elements. And they beat you. And they, at times, dominated you. If not for a bad fumble on their own side of the field, you likely never get a chance to take the lead in that game. So I'll double and triple and quadruple down on my prediction of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm willing to continue to take this to the bank. Double, triple, quadruple down on my Steelers prediction. This team will not win a singular playoff game. I don't care who they have at quarterback. And I know I said tongue-in-cheek. I said tongue-in-cheek and was poking at Pittsburgh fans, saying they were getting too close to 500, and that's why they were starting Russell Wilson. But the main point in that take was never the quarterback competition. The main point of that take is that you do not have the firepower on offense that you are going to need to win multiple playoff games, to get to the Super Bowl. And with that being said, I don't trust you in the playoffs. I don't trust your offensive personnel. Your defense is fine, but it no longer wins championships. Defense no longer matters as much or more than offense. Now it's have a competent defense, load up on offense, pay a star quarterback, get a quarterback on his rookie deal, and try to win the Super Bowl there. Try to win playoff games in that element. What the Steelers are doing, mediocre to fine quarterback play, and a rock-solid, elite-level defense, it's fun in the regular season. And it beats up teams like the Jets and the Colts and the Giants and the Falcons, who are worse than we thought with Kirk Cousins' first starter, Bo Nix in his second start of the NFL season, of his very young career. But it doesn't beat a Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't beat, in the playoffs, Joe Burrow. It doesn't beat, in the playoffs, Josh Allen. It won't beat, in the playoffs, when Justin Herbert is healthy. And that's what it is. So at the end of the year, you'll be left scratching your head and wonder what happened, and you won't listen to the advice I gave you. You are doing things wrong. And blame the elements all you want. You had 3 points in the first half where the elements mostly didn't play a factor in that game. And, again, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns also played in the same elements you did, and largely outside of a bad red zone fumble or near red zone fumble, kicked the tar out of you for most of that game. So don't blame the elements. Don't pull a George Pickens. You lost because you don't have the offensive capabilities in the second half of seasons when games get tight or in playoff-like atmospheres to run away from the opposing team like a Josh Allen, like a Justin Herbert, like a Joe Burrow, like a Patrick Mahomes-led team would. And that's where you're at for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for my quick analysis of the Cleveland Browns, they are terrible. They are absolutely terrible. But Jameis Winston is a ton of fun. And that's about all I have to say about the Cleveland Browns. New year, same Cleveland Browns. And that would be my take on them. But ultimately, the Steelers have to change things up if they're ever going to be a reliable playoff team post-Big Ben era.